Hello everyone, welcome to today's mathematics lesson. In this video, we are going to review an important topic in mathematics, which is quadratic equation and quadratic function. This topic is very useful because it doesn't not only appear in mathematics problem, but also in real life situations, such as the motion of a ball, the shape of a bridge, the path of water from a fountain, and even problem about maximum profit or minimum cost. So today, we will learn the concept, the difference between quadratic equation and quadratic function, how to solve a simple quadratic equation, how to understand the graph, how to use some mathematical expression in English. Okay, the next slide. Okay, after watching this video, you are expected to be able to explain the meaning of a quadratic equation and quadratic function. You are also expected to identify their general from difference between equation and function, solve a simple quadratic equation, describe the graph of a quadratic function, and understand how this topic is applied in daily life. Besides that, since that is English for mathematics, we will also learn some mathematical vocabulary and expression related to this topic. Um, Before we start, let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever thrown a ball upward? When we throw a ball upward, the ball goes up, reaches the highest point, and then comes down again. If we draw the path of the ball, the shape looks like a curve. In mathematics, this curve is called a parabola. This is one example of how quadratic function can appear in real life. So, quadratic equation and quadratic function are not only about formulas. They can also help us understand real situation around us. And now, let us start with the definition of a quadratic equation. A quadratic equation is an equation in which the highest power of the variable is 2. The general from a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Or we can write it as this is on the screen. In this formula, a, b, and c are the real number and the value of a cannot be 0. And why cannot be 0? What do you think, guys? Because if a 0, the term x squared will disappear. Then the equation is no longer a quadratic equation like that. And here, x is the variable and a is the coefficient of x squared and b is the coefficient of x and c is the constant. For example, is x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0 like that. And this is a quadratic equation because the highest power of x is 2. And next is the quadratic function. Let us discuss quadratic function. In this slide, a quadratic function is a function which the highest power of the variable is also 2 and the general form is f for x equals a, x squared plus bx plus c. Or this one on the screen with the formula written by me. And sometimes we also write it as y equal ax squared plus bx plus c like that. Anything you want, anything you need. In this form, x is the input value of y, while y of or fx is the output value. The graph of a quadratic function is called parabola. For example, is the fx equals x squared plus 5x plus c like that. This is a quadratic function because the highest power is 2. Always the highest power of x is 2. Always the quadratic formula. Remember guys. And what's the difference between quadratic equation and quadratic function? At this point, you may ask, what is the difference between them? And they look similar, but they have a different purpose. A quadratic equation has the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. It is used to find the value of x that makes the equation equal to 0. The answer are called roots or solution. Meanwhile, a quadratic function has the form fx equals ax squared plus bx plus c. It is used to show the relationship between input and output value. The result can be represented as a graph. So we can say that a quadratic equation focuses on finding solution, while a quadratic function focuses on showing a relationship and forming a graph like that. And now let us solve a simple quadratic equation. Look at the simple example. On this screen, it is a problem x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. We will solve this equation by using factorization. And first, we need to find the two numbers whose product is 6 and whose sum is 5. The numbers are 2 and 3 because 2 times 3 equals 6 and 2 plus 3 equals 5. So, we can rewrite the equation as bracket x plus 2 bracket x plus 3 equals 0. After that, we can set each factor equal to 0. So, x plus 2 equals 0 or x plus 3 equals 0. From the first factor, we get x equal negative 2. From the second factor, we get x negative 3. Therefore, the solution are x equals negative 2 and x equal negative 3 like that. And these values are called the roots of quadratic equation. And besides factorization, we can also use the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is used especially when the equation cannot be easily to factored. The formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Or in mathematical form, this is on the screen. Look at the screen, and the expression inside the square root, which is b quadrat negative minus 4ac, is called the discriminant. The discriminants help us know the types of roots. If the discriminant is greater than 0, the equation has two different real roots. If the discriminant is equal to 0, the equation has one repeated real root. If discriminant less than 0, the equation has no real roots. So the discriminant is important because it gives information about the solution before we solve the equation completely. Okay, next. Next is the graph of quadratic function. It's so interesting to know, you guys. Now, let us move to the graph of quadratic function. The graph of quadratic function is called parabola. The general from y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, the value of a determine the direction of the parabola. If a is negative, the parabola opens upward. That is, look at the screen. And if a is a negative, the parabola opens downward. That is. And the first one is the vertex. The vertex is the highest or lowest point of the parabola. The second one is the axis of symmetry and is the vertical lines that divide the parabola into two equal parts. And the third one is the x-intercept. They are the point where the graph crosses the x-axis. And the fourth one is the y-intercept. It is the point where the graph crosses the y-axis. So, when we learn quadratic function, we don't not only look at the formula, but also the shape and meaning of the graph. Remember, guys. And the next one is the Much more about vocabulary. Now let us review some important vocabulary in this lesson. Is the quadratic equation means the Persamaan quadrat, quadratic function means the function quadrat, variable means the variable, coefficient means the coefficient, constants means the constanta, root or solution means the akar or penyelesaian, and each other. You do not have to memorize all of them at once, but you should understand how these words are used in mathematical sentence. For more vocabulary, you can also pay attention to the list shown on this side, okay? And next is the practice. Before we end the lesson, please look at the practice question of this screen. You can pause the video for a moment and try to answer them by yourself. This equation will help you review your understanding of quadratic equation and quadratic function. Okay, remember that it's a four number, it's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Note guys. Hmm? To conclude, a quadratic equation is an equation whose H's power is a 2 and is usually used to find roots or solution. A quadratic function is a function which H's power is also 2 and its graph is called parabola. The value of A determines whether the parabola opens upward and downward. Quadratic equation as function are useful in real life situations such as motion of ball, the shape of a bridge, the problems about maximum or minimum value. So, by learning this topic, we can understand not only the mathematical procedures, but also the connection between mathematical and daily life. And the end of the lesson. Thank you for watching this video. I hope this explanation helps you understand quadratic equation and quadratic function better. See you in the next section. Goodbye, everyone.